So, what if I told you that every single relationship you have, your family, your friends, even your coworkers, is built on one single fundamental rule? Today, we're diving deep into that very idea. We're going to use the incredible insights of Yasser Al-Huzaymi to help us navigate what really feels like a modern maze of human connection. Okay, so Al-Huzaymi kicks things off with this statement that, honestly, it might make you squirm a little. All relationships are driven by need. Now, hold on. This isn't just about needing money or favors. It goes way deeper. We're talking about the need for validation, for purpose, for simple companionship. This one idea is going to be the lens for everything we talk about. Let's see how it plays out. All right, so if every relationship is built on need, where in the world do you even start to understand them? Al-Huzaymi says you have to work from the inside out. Before we can even begin to look at our connections with other people, we have to get real about the one relationship that underpins them all, the one we have with ourselves. You know, the philosopher William James had this idea that's, well, it's a total mind-bender. He said that whenever two people meet, there are actually 6 different people in the room. There's who you think you are, who the other person thinks you are, and who you really are. And that goes for both of you. The bigger that gap gets between the real you and the you that you put on display, the shakier your foundation becomes. And that often leads to this gnawing sense of just not being good enough. And this is where we have to get really clear on something crucial for building that solid foundation. See, real confidence is grounded in reality. It's about knowing what you can do and owning it. Arrogance, on the other hand, is just a mask. It's a mask for insecurity, built on a fantasy about abilities you don't actually have. The trick isn't just knowing the difference, but being brave enough to ask yourself, which one am I operating from right now? So, how do we get that kind of self-awareness? Well, there's this ancient saying that puts it perfectly. The believer is the mirror of his brother. Think about it. The people in your life, they reflect your own character right back at you. And here's the real test. When you see a flaw in that reflection, what do? Do you get mad and blame the mirror? Or do you use that reflection as a chance to grow? But look, just knowing yourself isn't quite enough to stay steady in this modern maze. Al-Huzaymi argues that we also need an external anchor, something like a spiritual compass. And this isn't just about religion, you know? It's about connecting to a higher purpose, a sense of morality that doesn't just change with our feelings day to day. And that brings us to this powerful idea of the watchful presence. Just imagine for a second, living with this constant awareness that your actions are being seen by something greater than yourself. It totally reframes everything, doesn't it? Your time, your health, how you talk to people, they're not just yours anymore. They become this sacred trust that you're meant to honor. And when you start thinking that way, the impact it's huge. Your goal isn't so much about pleasing people anymore. It's about staying true to your values. Forgiveness actually becomes easier because you know you're not the final judge. A simple act of kindness isn't just a simple act anymore. It feels deeply meaningful. And maybe most importantly, it builds this deep inner strength that doesn't crumble when you don't get a like or a thank you. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. We've talked about building a strong foundation, but now we have to talk about the world we're building it in. Al-Huzaymi warns that our modern world, for all its amazing advances, also produces what he calls industrial waste, these toxic byproducts that are seriously polluting our relationships. And this right here, this is the core of that pollution he's talking about. Real human connections are being swapped out for cold, contractual ones. Just think about your day. How many of your interactions are really just transactions? We're being trained subtly to always be calculating what's in it for me in our relationships. Man, this next quote is it's brutal, but it's so honest. They get to the heart to get to the pockets. It just perfectly nails that modern cynicism where making an emotional connection isn't the point anymore. It's become a tool, a strategy, to get what you want out of someone else. And this leads to this really dangerous downward spiral. First, people get dehumanized. They're just numbers or tasks. That leads to contractualism, where kindness gets thrown out the window. This pushes us all toward individualism, where we pull back into our little cocoons, losing our safety net. And it all ends up in this final, chilling step, planned obsolescence. We start treating people like old smartphones. If a relationship has a glitch, we don't fix it. We just upgrade. Wow. I mean, this analogy is just so vivid, isn't it? It paints this picture of our self-worth being this incredibly fragile thing. We're like these balloons, just desperate for someone to pump us up with external validation. But here's the catch. We're floating through a needle factory, a world just filled with criticism and negativity. One sharp comment and poof, we're completely deflated. And the craziest part is that all of this is happening while we're on what feels like a super fast train. We're just being swept along by trends, by work, by the crazy speed of modern life. And we think we must be on the right track, right? I mean, everyone else is on the train with us. But here's the question that should really make you pause. With all this speed, with all this momentum, have you ever actually stopped to check the destination on the ticket? Or are you just a passenger on a train, hurtling towards a place you never even chose to go? So what do? Look, the answer isn't to just jump off the train and go live in a cabin in the woods. The key is to become a conscious passenger. It's about learning to navigate this modern maze with real intention, with awareness, and with deliberate, conscious choices. And this gets to the heart of where your real power lies. You can't change the whole system. You're not going to control how other people choose to act, but you can always control your own response. In a world that's becoming more and more transactional, choosing to act with genuine humanity and kindness, that's not just a nice thing to do. It's a quiet form of rebellion. And maybe the biggest thing to take away from all this is this final thought. Being truly human, having good character in a world that doesn't always reward it, it's hard. It can feel like a burden. But this quote reminds us that the heaviest things on the scales are usually the ones that matter the most. And choosing to carry that beautiful burden, well, that choice is always, always yours.